Are we in need of words of encouragement? Today, we go through all sorts of trials and troubles because of the COVID 19 pandemic and various kinds of problems we are going through in our lives. We are at a time where we somehow need encouragement. In India, the people are going through a second wave of the pandemic which has hit them very hard. A new type of the same virus which has made them much more vulnerable. And in various other parts of the world, even though the vaccine has come, the COVID 19 pandemic still continues to attack them. It has affected us, the whole world. It's not only the COVID 19 pandemic. We are struck with various kinds of worries and trials and problems. Now, in today's first reading, we hear the people in the temple telling St. Paul, would you like to address some words of encouragement to the congregation? When St. Paul was asked, he quickly went up and offered these words of encouragement. And what were these words of encouragement to the people of that time who were also not much less of worries and trials and problems compared to us? Now, St. Paul basically uttered them how God had made the people great. Yes, the words he used is how God had made the people great. He started by telling how God delivered them from slavery in Egypt right up to the saving power of Jesus Christ. So, dear brothers and sisters, the biggest encouragement can come to us when we start to recall how God has been saving us throughout the history of mankind, and also throughout our personal history, from the time we were born until we are here today, sitting and listening to this particular sharing. We somehow have been saved by God in various ways. We somehow have been led by God in various ways. The fact that we are alive today, the fact that we are still able to listen to this talk today is evidence that God has been protecting us from various kinds of dangers. Yes, we may be filled with worries, but this word of encouragement tells us that the Lord saves, that the Lord continues to direct his people, that the Lord continues to care for his people. And these stories of how God has been saving people throughout history is a source of encouragement that we need not worry, that we need not be afraid, because the same God with the same love, with the same mercy is again here to save us today. So, dear brothers and sisters, today we are called not only to receive these words of encouragement from St. Paul, but we are also called to repeat like St. Paul and repeat like the apostles, to be a faithful servant, to give these words of encouragement to all those who need. So, what words of encouragement will we give when we see someone who is in need of some kind of a, a word which satisfies them in their worry, a kind of word which actually encourages them, a kind of word which uplifts their spirit? We cannot retell any other story but retelling the story of God's love in our lives, retelling the story of God's love in human history. So, brothers and sisters, no servant is greater than the master, says Jesus Christ in the gospel. What does he mean? Of course, there are many meanings to this, but I can see three different things that a servant will always be when he relies on God and he just behaves like the master. First of all, the servant who is no greater than the master relies on the master for encouragement and gives the kind of encouragement which comes from the master. He does not rely on his own strength. He does not give something of his own accord, but relies on the master. Secondly, the servant who is not greater than the master retells the master's work among us. He does not retell any other story, but retells the master's work among us. Now, what is the master? What does our Lord and Master Jesus Christ has done among us? What has he done to the people of the world? What has he done to save humankind? What has he done to love people of all ages? the master has loved much, and the servant retells the story of love to anyone who is in need of encouragement. Now, the third thing the servant who is not greater than the master does is that he continues the work of love and mercy of the master. He just doesn't retell the story of the master and leave it there. He somehow becomes the hands and the leg and the mouthpiece and also the charity channel of the master in today's world. Somehow the servant just continues the work of love and mercy. Now, when we do these things, we are actually bringing back the work of God in the lives of the many who don't only need encouragement but need healing, but need the presence of God in their lives. So today, brothers and sisters, what encouragement are we getting in a trouble-filled world? What encouragement are we giving in a trouble-filled world? And how are we behaving as servants of our Lord and Master Jesus Christ? Do we rely on Him for all encouragement? Do we retell the story of Jesus to all those who need this encouragement? And do we continue the work of love and mercy of Jesus Christ in a world which is much in need of the saving power of Jesus Christ? Our Lord saves. Our Lord still walks with us, and our Lord still wants to make use of us, servants, to still continue His work in this world. So let us be servants, not greater than the Master, but just being obedient to the Master and retelling His love story and continuing His love work and works of charity in a world which is in need of it. Thank you and God bless.